Hi, I'm Richard Friedman, and welcome to my video cartoon for March 14th, 2025. Well, we're making it through March, folks. Today here, I have a cartoon I'd like to share with you. And this revolves around President Trump, who keeps persisting that he wants to make Canada the 51st state, and he's been very vocal about that recently. And so what I did was I took that motivation and I thrusted it into the future to think what his next approach might be to Canada. And I came up with two scenarios that I'd like to present to you today. Now, here's the cartoon to begin with. You see? Now, that's the maple leaf symbol for Canada, which came about around the 19th century over the maple tree. There was the maple trees that the settlers in Canada always enjoyed the sweet fruits from. So they all loved those maple trees, and so they adopted the maple tree as symbolic for Canada, and that's how that came from the maple tree. Those from the early settlers who really liked those fruits, so sweet fruits that came from the tree. So that's the backdrop for that. Okay, now here is President Trump, and here is his. What I'm saying here is that I'm not saying that he's going to issue license plates. Official license plates to Canadians, offer them that. I'm saying that this is like an accessory to a car bumper that he would be advertising to Canadians to purchase if they chose to support his effort to make Canada the 51st state. And he goes on to state the reasons why it would be beneficial to Canada. And we'll progress with this cartoon here. So now I want to read to you the introduction that I wrote so that it's clear, the backdrop to the cartoon. Here it goes. Richard's President Donald Trump's future renewed effort to make Canada the 51st U.S. state. Amid Doug Ford, Premier of Canada's Ontario province, had been charging 25% more for the electricity it provides to the U.S. states of Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. So here is something I drew here, and this shows the scenario here. You see, now President Trump said we don't need Canada for anything. I had to listen to it 3 times to make sure I was hearing it right. But that's what he said. He said, we don't need Canada for anything. So if we can be independent and we can grow together, these two nations can become one, something to that effect. Okay, now here is this map. Now here we have, there are 5 Great Lakes, and here's the states that he threatened to cut off. You see, Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. You see? Now that's not the only Ontario where this Doug Ford is the premier of. There are other provinces in Canada that also contribute to our electricity. There's Quebec, who threatened also to follow suit with Ontario. And then we have Manitoba and British Columbia. So we have Ontario, Quebec. So we have 4 provinces that supply, and I read, I think it was about $4 billion worth of electricity. I could be mistaken about that, but I think it was in that range. So that's a lot of electricity, you know. So there it is. Now, what happened here is that President Trump said here that he's going to tariffs on Canada's steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% because of the response of Doug Ford here. Of provinces had been charged 25% more for the electricity provided to the U.S. And that's it. And Trump had, in response, said he would double his planned tariffs on Canada's steel and aluminum from 25 to 50%. So what happened was some kind of backdoor thing. President Trump made Premier Doug Ford an offer he couldn't refuse, probably so. So he backed down. He backed down on basically that electric shutting off or that's not shutting off, but a surcharge. He was threatening down the road to shut it off, but at this point it was a surcharge that he was putting on the charge that the Canadians were charging for their electricity of 25% increase. So anyway, the bottom line was that, in the end, the upshot was that he took the Premier Ford took off the whole charge on electricity, and Trump went from upping it to 50% because of that down to 25%. So now there's going to be a 25% increase on imported steel and aluminum coming from Canada, and no charge to the extra charge to the United States of 25% for electricity. So here's the bottom line. Now, this is the way I'm thinking. So I don't hear this from nobody. I never tell you something that I hear from somebody else and pass it on to you. I think about it and I say to myself, here's the story. I remember I had an economics professor in 101, a real old guy. He looked like Albert Einstein, and he'd come in with a bunch of old papers that looked like from 1901, and he'd read from those papers, and he was very clear and precise about everything, but he was too old. He couldn't remember the exact thing, so he always read from the papers, and we stayed there and listened to him, taking notes and writing down stuff, and it was clear as day. I remember him very well, and all those papers, he would go through the papers and this and that, like this, and he'd be shuffling the papers and reading everything. So, like I said, those papers, he for the last 10 years, he taught every class with those papers, it looked like. So anyway, here's the point. Now, what I learned here is this, from the supply-demand curve. There's a supply-demand curve, and prices are set by supply and demand. So what's going to happen, using what I recall, the lectures, what's going to happen what could happen is this, that because of the 25% extra, the Canadian aluminum steel will be a lot more expensive, you see? So people will buy less of it, obviously. So what happens if they buy less of it, and everybody needs steel? We need steel and aluminum for cars, for airplanes, for you name it. All those car manufacturers and all that, the steel, aluminum, it all goes into that. We need that stuff. So what's going to happen is this, that you're going to have an increase in the price of aluminum steel because Canada is eventually going to not be selling as much as they used to, so they're going to cut down on their production of aluminum and steel. So there's going to be less aluminum steel on the market. So what's going to happen is, naturally, if you have less supply, demand goes up, the prices goes up. So the prices of steel and aluminum are going to go up. So if the prices in steel and aluminum go up, the prices of cars go up, and the cost that the airlines have to pay for planes goes up because the manufacturers to make the aluminum airplanes have to pay more for that, and that raises the price they pay, the airlines pay, which raises the price of trips, airfare. So there you have it. That was my own deduction. I didn't hear that from nobody. I just figured it out myself, and that's what we're headed for. So basically, President Trump is saying, he said, we don't need Canada aluminum steel. We don't need it because we're rich and we can afford to pay higher prices. So there's no problem. People ride airplanes, can afford the high airfare, maybe spending more for your luggage. Southwest Airlines, who never did that before, is now charging for luggage. So they're thinking ahead, That's the first time they're ever going to, this is the other day, I heard Southwest going to charge for luggage. They never did that before. So there you go, folks. That's how it's inflationary in that respect, you see? So I'm just adding that in. So anyway, so the story goes, with Trump's 24% on the above remaining. That's how it left. We left it at 25% on the remaining aluminum and steel coming in from Canada with no charge on electricity. I mean, and President Trump really must have given him an offer he couldn't refuse, figuring those other provinces could join in, and we really would that. So anyway, that's another story. The only thing that still makes sense, this is President Trump's word for word, the only thing that still makes sense for Canada is to become our cherished 51st state, and all tariffs would disappear. You know, like Houdini made all tariffs disappear like that. Boom. Like Houdini made an elephant disappear in New York back in the early 1900s, you know, or late 1800s or something like that. Houdini, this very famous magician, actually made an elephant disappear. You know, a live elephant. So that's how the tariffs are going to disappear on Canada if they become the 51st state. So that was that's an incentive. Now, I took it beyond that in this cartoon here to show that basically President Trump goes beyond that after all else fails to get Canada to become the 51st state. You see? So now, again, I go back here. I just want to say one other thing before I go off of this. You see here, you can see in the backdrop, you see Greenland there. So this is going to be, again, in President Trump's vision, the future, the American empire of the future, which will have Canada, and he's talking about Greenland, you know. There's Greenland. I'm not getting into the Panama Canal. That's another cartoon down the road. So here is Greenland. You see, so it's right in the neighborhood of Canada, right up there. You see, so this is I suppose in President Trump's mind is the future American empire, where we have Canada, we have Greenland, and the United States. So this is our empire, like President Putin, you know. He has Ukraine, and he's going to move on maybe some other Baltic states, and China going to move on their Taiwan. So everybody, all the big dictators of the world now, the top 3 dictators of the world have their own empires. You see, there's going to be the American empire, the Chinese empire, and the Russian empire. And that's how the world is like the tectonic. Remember, if you ever studied about the tectonic plagues, how there was a Pangea, a great island, and it drifted apart, and that's how the continents formed hundreds of millions of years ago. Well, this is like the tectonic political movements, you know, where the dictators, all these places come under get the spoils of all the other countries, and it's an imperialistic world we're headed for. So this is again the future American empire, where we have Greenland here, right on top of Canada. We have Canada, and this is what we're shooting for. So there you have it. That's my view. I didn't hear that from nobody. Okay, now here we got President Trump again. I want to go through this cartoon for you here. So here I talked about the maple leaf, how it from the maple tree, how it became the symbol of Canada. Okay, so it says maple leaf state. So here is President Trump, and here is his address to Canada with this car accessory to put on the bumper. You know, like people put on things on their bumpers, like their initials. Some people put initials on their bumper, or some people put on all kinds of things. So this is like an accessory that he would want those Canadians who support that 51st state of Canada becoming to purchase this, can purchase this plate ornament for their car front bumper. Okay, and here it goes. Oh, Canada, your national anthem song. You can keep it when you become our cherished 51st state. You will be incredible. Somebody just drew this artificial line separating us. So President Trump is saying it's just an artificial line, you know, just like between Ukraine and Russia. That's President Putin. There's no line there. This is part of the Russian Empire. Same thing in the way of thinking that line is just artificial. He used the word artificial that he did use. Okay, and then here's his pitch for the plate here, the plate ornament, and here he's saying, Canadians, don't wait for more tariffs. Order today our Canada 51st state car bumper plate accessory. And there it is. The 50 Canada 51st state, the Maple State accessory. Okay. Now maybe he's envisioning Canada as the 51st state and saying this would be how they could, the kind of license plate they could have if they became the 51st state. So he's pushing that, but he's not saying you're going to buy a license plate. This is just an ornament at this point. But this could be an idea he has to show that this is a beautiful license plate they could someday have, with Canada, and then their name will be like New York is the Empire State, and Florida the Orange State, and all those things. Well, Canada is going to be the Maple Leaf State. The Maple Leaf State, that's Canada. See? And there is their maple leaf, and there's the plate. Imagining that could be in the future. Okay. As of now, he's marketing it as an ornament for the car bumper, front bumper. There you go. There he is. Let's get a close up there. There he is. Now, folks, to wind this down, here I have prepared. This is the national anthem song of Canada. So I'm going to have I've said that President Trump's another form, a future effort. So I'm going to have President Trump sing out the Canada's national anthem to you. And I wrote the anthem, and I got the song here ready to go. I hope. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, it's a little bit of a puzzle here. Okay, here we go. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. True patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise. The true North, strong and free. Far from and wide. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Amazon hates this flashlight, but there's nothing they can do to stop.
There we go, folks. That was Trump on singing "Oh Canada," and that would be his future renewed effort to make Canada the 51st state of 51st state or 51st state. So, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my video cartoon today. God bless you. God bless America. And may God watch over all our troops stationed all over the world, many in harm's way. And I have to say, the only thing left is to pray for peace in the Mideast and to pray that I don't know what's going to happen with Ukraine now because you have like two, you have an impasse here. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm just going to say one thing that I think I wanted to add one thing, and I think it's vital that I have to say this. I think the only thing left for the United States now, if they want peace, they have to support Ukraine because that's President Putin isn't going to go for any kind of a soft diplomacy or whatever. We're going to have to support Ukraine if we either be peace or certain soon defeat for Ukraine if we don't step up And that's really the bottom line here is, are we willing to let Ukraine go down the tubes and along perhaps with the other Baltic states there and other countries there? Or are we going to step up and support Europe because they can't do it without us? So that's like a fork in the road that we're at right now. And I pray that President Trump makes the right decision. And folks, again, God bless you and God bless America. And I'll see you next time. Bye.